Hello, good morning. I'm happy to be here in Geneva, the land of Libra, to talk about Libra and stablecoins. I always like to start by setting the landscape and explaining where we are coming from, and I think that all of us here we are aware that the internet has been changing a lot of things in our lives and in the life of billions of people around the world. So the way we access to the information with a basic $30 smartphone is kind of amazing. From anywhere in the world, provided you have that kind of device and a connection to a mobile network, you're able to access all the information that you want. Communication. So the cost of communication has been decreased dramatically over the years thanks to the internet. So for those of you who remember that, sending a text message was just a fortune, 15 to 20 cents, and not talking about international communications where you could spend $1 for a minute for an international call. And all that is now nearly free with the different kind of applications that you have on your phone. And again, you don't need to have the latest and very high-end iPhone or mobile phone to be able to access those services. You get that out of the box from with the basic mobile phone. However, in the same time, financial networks have not been evolving and have not been facing the same kind of disruption while the internet was breaking all those walls in the different areas that I've been mentioning. And if we take, for example, one example, which is one that is very near to our heart and one that I like to explain, is people trying to send money to their relatives across the world. So you have millions of people that needs to go to a money exchange service. So you go to that place with your cash. You stand in the line for the time that you need to stand there. Once you access to the cashier, you give the money, and he provides you a receipt for that money. And the first thing that the people are doing with that receipt is to take a picture of it with a mobile phone and send it via WhatsApp or any messaging application to the recipient in the other part of the world. Right? So the recipient receives the receipt far before receiving a single cent of that money. Now, on the other hand, the person needs to wait 3-4 days for the money to arrive effectively in the money exchange service. Go there, stand in the queue, hand on the receipt, and then get the money minus all the fees that have been taken during that process. It doesn't need to be so painful today. I mean, before I was talking about telecommunications and sending a video. Why should we be able to send a simple video, a long video across the world quasi instantaneously, and we should suffer that pain when we want to send $100 to a relative on the other end of the world? And the reason for that is not because of the greed of the financial institutions. I mean, I'm coming from there, so it's because those financial systems and those payment systems are very fragmented. And if we try to compare them, they are like the mobile networks, the telecom networks before the internet, right? And the best example that we can give about that is email. Now you have an email on a Gmail account and you want to send an email to a friend who's on Hotmail. You send your email and you just don't think about it. It's done. What would be your attitude if, because you're on Gmail, your friend is on Hotmail, when you want to send an email to her, that email will delay 4 days because it's not the same platform, and you would be asked a transport fee, because it's not the same platform and you need to pay for that. No one would accept that. So we don't accept that for email, but we accept it for our money. And again, the people who are suffering that are the people who need that money the most. So fragmentation of the networks is one of the main reasons, and also the fact that those financial systems are built on technologies that are 50 plus years old, and there've been different layers and layers and layers and layers. And as a technologist, I can tell you that that doesn't work well. At the end, you have very high costs to maintain your software layers and lots of inefficiencies everywhere and lots of need for human intervention in all the places of your platforms, which means costs, right? If we focus on the opportunity, so right now we have 1.7 billion people around the world who are either unbanked or poorly served by a financial institution. Out of that 1.7 billion people, 1 billion have a mobile phone. So basically they have in their hands on a daily basis what they need in order to be able to receive and send money. We are not talking about very advanced financial services. We're just talking about simply having a mean of storing value and sending and receiving that value, right? And by the way, 60% of those 1.7 billion people are women. So it's again one area where exclusion is higher for women. So evolution is inevitable. So there's no other way than changing that, and technology allows that today. So we're in 2020, and we feel that it's time for changing that. And there are lots of initiatives that have been popping out and around the world. Some of them have been more famous than others, but the good thing is that we are starting to talk about them, which means that regulators and policymakers are starting to see the value of it. So they see that there's clearly value on the blockchain technology when it comes to financial services. Of course, that technology comes with some challenges that needs to be addressed, and like how you handle AML, anti-money laundering, and financing of terrorism and other matters that needs to be addressed in those areas. But there's an awareness, and people at those levels are starting to see the value of it and starting to move in those directions, and we are seeing lots of different initiatives. So on the stablecoin area, everyone has heard about the Chinese initiative for creating a digital renminbi. We've been hearing about Telegram, and again, there are hundreds of different initiatives around the world that are starting to appear and to raise at different levels. One good thing of that is also that I said that regulators are starting to be aware and to start to see the value about those technologies. And the latest G7 report under the leadership of Mr. Benoît Cœuré, published in October, clearly shows the direction where regulators are trending. They want clearly to bring the benefits of the technology to the people around the world, and they have been starting to define the framework and the kind of rules of engagement that needs to go around that technology to avoid again the same those important issues. Is on one side you bring a great technology, but on the other one you don't want to open Pandora's box and allow for all kinds of financial crime, which is not something that none of us is willing and looking for, obviously. So with that, what is the Libra vision? So as I said, today there is an opportunity for a widely accessible, standardized platform that can be used for payments, basically. So the Internet of Money, being able to send value from one point on the globe to another point on the globe on a fast, secure, and cheap way. And blockchain provides the technology for that. And as the Internet did for information, we feel that the Libra blockchain can provide that solution and can be used for that. And we are coming with, we feel, significant answers in different dimensions, not only on the side of purely the technology, but also on the side of the AML, counter-financing of terrorism. We are proposing several solutions, several technological solutions that we feel would be able to raise the bar and bring that blockchain to a level that is at least comparable with the existing financial systems in terms of fighting financial crime. So the question was, there were already tons of cryptocurrencies around there. So why did the world need a new one, even called Libra? And basically the answer to that is that most of those cryptocurrencies were great technologies, but for real payment, like the one we want to use, they were not really usable, and for mainly two reasons. The first one is the volatility of the coin. Is who is going to will to pay for a bottle of milk with a digital token that fluctuates 20% every second? That's impossible. So that's the main reason number one. Number two is performance. As those blockchain technologies are great and provide a lot of innovation, they are not ready for prime time. And what we call prime time in our world is a throughput level that is comparable to the existing big payment providers, should they be Visa, MasterCard, or PayPal, or other big ones. And here we are talking about tens of thousands of transactions per second, and we are very far from that with the existing blockchain technology. So hence the decision to build a new one called Libra that would provide clear answers to those two main problems. So Libra was built from the ground up to solve those two issues: volatility on one side and scalability and performance and security on the other one. So Libra is pegged to real assets, so to fiat currencies. So that's the way to solve the volatility issue. So we have real assets backing one for one every single Libra that would be minted. So that will avoid having high fluctuation and will provide a fluctuation on the Libra token that is comparable to what exists in the existing fiat currencies. And on the other side, we have taken a set of decisions and made a set of trade-offs on the technology side to build from the ground the technology that is scalable and that can handle since the beginning the level of throughputs that we are expecting, and that is the ones that you need to provide when you're talking about real payments. And so, for example, one of the decisions is that Libra is a permissioned network. So it's not an open, a permissionless network like Bitcoin, where anyone can join the system and start validating transactions. Libra is a permission network with a reduced set of nodes who are allowed to validate the transactions, and with some requirements that are put on them in terms of performance, throughput, cybersecurity, and all those matters that are really important when you want to bring throughput and scalability to a level that is acceptable in the payments world. So as I said, Libra is built on a secure, scalable, and reliable blockchain. We want it to be used as a useful medium of exchange in daily transactions, especially across borders. Back to my previous example of people trying to send money across the world. The Libra tokens will have a stable value. They will be backed one for one, that's important, one for one by a reserve, a Libra reserve that will keep fiat assets and other financial assets to back completely the number of Libras in circulation. And one of the things that we also have in mind, and that is embedded within Libra by design, is security. And security and trust for the consumers, because Libra is going to be an open system, transparent system, and a compliant system, right? So I said that Libra would be backed by a reserve, and one of the main concerns that some policymakers or regulators had when we announced the project back in June was the sovereignty of currencies and the stability of the system. So Libra is not the goal of Libra is not to replace any existing sovereign currency. It's a complement to existing currencies. So as such, Libra is not going to do any monetary creation. So Libra coins will be backed by the fiat assets in the reserve, and the only monetary policy that would apply to Libra would be the monetary policies that the central bank in charge of those fiat currency would be handling. And that's the way it should be. So there's absolutely no will for that. And again, we are working in very close mode with the regulators, and we are expecting regulators to while providing us, for example, in Switzerland, the license. So we're working with FINMA. We're expecting them to also ask us what they are expecting from us as transparency, as governance, as the way we handle the reserve to bring security to the consumers, because at the end of the day, the system will not work if there's no trust and if it does not show value to the consumers. But trust, value, and compliance are really the key elements for this system to be successful, and that's what we are going for. So to recap, no monetary creation and a transparent reserve management policy that would be set up hand in hand with the regulators and the institutions who are the ones in charge of the different fiat currencies and assets that are held in the Libra reserve. Libra is an open source project, and I thank Marta for doing such a great job before explaining what is open source, so I don't have to do it. So Libra is an open source project, so the code is open. And again, that's a proof, and that's something that we want to support strongly within the Libra Association, because if people are concerned about what Libra is doing with their payments and with their data, we can say what we want, but the best thing is go download the code and check what's in it. So it's fully open source, and that means that we are going to keep it to the highest level, standard levels of open source project, like the ones that Marta was presenting, whether it's Linux or other open source projects. So that means technical governance and all that goes around a top-notch open source project. So I will short that because I'm over time. So a few words about the Libra Association. So the Libra Association was launched 3 months ago in Geneva. So the goal of the association is to oversee the payment network and the open source project, be responsible for the administration and management of the reserve that is going to back all the coins that would be minted, and also in charge of the technical roadmap of the project in cooperation with the different organizations who are members of the Libra Association. Libra will apply, as I said, to a payment system license with FINMA here in Switzerland, and Libra will register as a US money service business provider with the US FinCEN in the United States. So I'll go quick. So what's ahead for 2020? Again, number one is increase the number of organizations who join us within the association. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And our goal is to have 100 members, 100 organizations be part of the association when we launch the mainnet. So this is one of the main priorities for the association. Number two, and I would say at the same level of priority, is set standards for the association members and all the ecosystem that will go around Libra, designated dealers, custodian banks, etc. When it comes to areas like AML, CFT, sanctions, anti-fraud programs. So that's also one thing that we are working hard right now, and that we expect will be able to share publicly as soon as possible to show that. Again, when we say that Libra will be compliant from day one, it's not our word, it's a reality. And yeah, I will skip that part because I'm already 3 minutes above. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention. I wish you a very good end of your day, and thanks.